Shall we start? We don't want to just lose minutes. So I want to thank Councillor King for listening to us, and I also want to thank the members of the community for joining us, braving this wet weather. I will quickly go into the points. The outcome of the process does not reflect our voluntary and community sector strategy 2016-2019. It is contrary to our community plan's specific objective of promoting sustainability. The outcome of this process has done the complete opposite. At least 50 organizations now face potential demise. Let me give you evidence. We know a large proportion of the VCS is made up of small neighborhood community organizations working at a very local level. And we also know they tend to be small, and annual turnover of these organizations are less than 100,000 or even less than 50,000. In total, 50 awards were recommended to 41 groups. Guess how many organizations were recommended which has less than 100K turnover out of 41? 4. Only 4. And that's only 10%. Also, no organization has been recommended which are rooted with Somali or Chinese community. How local is local community fund? And how small are the organizations that has secured funding? 12 organizations with income over 1 million. In fact, there are 2 organizations received support from our poor council, which has more than 20 million in annual income. Yes, 20 million. Our CVS strategy's aim was to create resilient communities that can support themselves. Now it seems like we are hiring big charities, giving them money and asking them to help the community. Employment point I need to also make. Around 5,000 people, majority of them from BAME community, are employed by our voluntary sector. How many jobs will be lost because of this? Has that been taken into account? What will be the impact of the service users who will be now severed from respective organizations that they rely on? In an independent survey of the 81 organizations that have lost funding this time, at least 800 people potentially impacting 500 families, most of them from Bangladeshi background. Is it feasible to risk more unemployment in the borough? I understand this is a recommendation from the Chief Executive and not Councillor Ronald or Councillor Islam or even Mayor John Biggs. So probably it would have been more appropriate to actually have our Chief Executive here listening to us and be present in this call-in. Finally, this process has made rich organizations richer and poor organizations poorer. In fact, they will probably have to pack their bags. So it is only sensible to call in and request the mayor to listen. Listening late is better than listening never.
Thank you, Chair. I want to focus on the process, whether the process was fair or seen to be fair. In the calling document, if you look at a member's inquiry I raised with regards to the council awarding the contract for an independent assessor, we only had one bid for that. So that's the procurement of the Eastern Community Foundation. Then looking at the Eastern Community Foundation, is it an organization capable of understanding the diverse needs of the third sector in Tower Hamlets? And if you look at the senior management structures of it, there isn't that diversity there. And then you've got to look at question some of the decisions as well made by the Eastern Community Foundation. I want to bring the example of something that's happened with regards to Machu and a platform they're giving to a speaker who's quite controversial, who's made divisive comments, and it has been given a platform by them in a borough that has a very diverse community. So I don't think the issue is that the process is not seen to be fair. The evidence that we've gathered, it shows that the process is not fair. It shows that the Eastern Community Foundation is not a suitable assessor, and questions need to be raised for that. And that's why we're asking for more time to look into these decisions and not rush it, because at the end of the day, the process has to be fair and seen to be fair. Let's have a little bit more of municipal socialism and a little less municipal neoliberalism. Thank you.
thank all the calling councillors and the audience for being present here today. My question goes back to process that Councillor Puru mentioned. You said that the evidence used shows that the process isn't fair, and you've consulted organisations who have also confirmed that. In your mind, what do you think can be done to make the process even fairer in terms of evidence, and what should be taken into consideration? Thank you.
I think the question is whether the decision has been equitable. It's not just treating all organisations the same. We have to understand that there's differences and accommodate those differences. You've got multi-million-pound turnover organisation versus a small organisation with less than, say, £50,000 or £100,000 turnover. It hasn't been. I don't think the process has been fair. There hasn't been transparency around on what basis East End Community Foundation was chosen as the independent assessor, especially when there was only one. I raised the members' inquiry, and the answer I got back was there's only one bidder for that contract, and that needs to be questioned as to was that an appropriate decision to give it to a single bidder. Second thing is looking at the organisation. Most of the senior management are non-BAME. It's headed by the director of the Canary Wharf Group. So the optics of it is that you have a millionaire, an organisation headed by a millionaire, backed by billionaires, making decisions for poor people in Tower Hamlets. And it has all the optics. I just using a crude example of a banana republic rather than that of a progressive council, and that optics is what's causing a lot of concerns among a lot of community organisations, amongst a lot of residents, and as me as an elected member, because of the answers I've received.
Thank you, Chair and member of our community for taking part today. I have spoken to voluntary organisations based in our borough. For example, BYM, Sporting Foundation, WBA, and others. They have all said that the process is not fair and question for the suitability of East End Community Foundation as an independent assessor. That is why the decision requires more time and more scrutiny. This is not, there is not enough clarity around the delivery plan for the mitigation measures set out in paragraph 3.56 of the report. The process needs to be seen to be fair, including the mitigations. That's why we need more scrutiny and more time, so we can bring everyone along on that decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just I can clarify my word, Spitalfileds and Bangla Town. The following organisations have been affected. Tower Hamlet Parent Centre.
Be careful, as I said, I just want to remind you about the commercial sensitivity of talking about individual cases, yeah?
Yeah, couple of, is my word, couple of organisations is affected in this decision. Spitalfield has been highly poverty state. Many of our residents will be affected with loss of this service. So I would request to you, please, can you look it? Thank you.